So, the next false belief I want to dive into is this concept I don't have the time. We don't have the time. It's so busy here. There's no way that we can do that. And I want to unpack this for a lot of reasons. As we talked about in yesterday's video, the whole idea of fast or right keeps coming back into my mind. And I want to say, why don't we have the time? So, whenever people use the word busy, I say it's a grievance on the day. It's not a plan. And if the plan is you show up with no plan for the day, no setup, organizational strategy, we call it like a morning ritual of how you start your day. Do you eat your frog? Do you check your email first? You can totally get sucked into the vortex of the day and never feel like you have enough time for anything. You have to be intentional with your time, and you have to have a value system of I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do first call resolution, and I'm going to take that time on the phone and nail it all down, tie it up with a bow, and be able to give 100% of my attention to the next client. We have to make this decision between, are we McDonald's or are we a fine steakhouse? And I think so many agencies are stuck somewhere in between. And it's all good if you want to be a fast casual Chipotle, but own that and be okay with the fact that you have to have an assembly line setup that's going to fit. So maybe people we're okay with a 10-minute wait for a burrito. Burritos and insurance always go together, right? I want to be very clear on the idea that somebody says we don't have the time and they haven't taken a deep breath to unpack how it may work or talk through it or say, tell me more. How can we fit that into the day? Is there something else that's less important? That basically what they're saying is they're living in that chaos, which surrounds insurance and is killing our account managers. The idea that I'm kind of addicted to the fact the person calls, I do this, the person calls, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. And all the work that requires our brain that piles stresses us out because we're doing a remark, we got to pick up that phone, which I agree, depending on how your agency's set up, you have to pick up that phone, but you can catch it and place it and catch it and place it. But instead we keep moving in between all these files and going like this, like this, like this. And what we're really saying a lot of times when we don't have the time is I don't have the energy. I don't know how I'm going to slow down to do that because we're so addicted to this other pace of life. And so I'm very passionate by saying we don't have the time, but let's really unpack it. If we stop here, say practice first call resolution, there's no trailing work. What's the difference of time? The difference is I have all these other piling little things that are stressing me out and I want to clear everything before I can get to the next thing. We have to retrain our brain. And I can literally see it on account managers. Their face goes, and it's almost like an addiction that we have to unpack. And that's why I'm so passionate about our time management program. That's why I'm so passionate about people having a plan for the day. And I think so often there's no plan and there's no belief that there can be a plan because I don't know what's going to come in. We just throw our hands up in the air. And I always say, you know what's interesting? I use this analogy a lot in our time management is ER nurses truly don't know what's going to walk in that door, yet there's a plan. There's an A and a B and a C. And if there's catastrophic weather, if there's a huge event, they have plans of how they're going to operate that ER. In insurance, we don't have any plans other than we're going to go on a roller coaster of a day and kill ourselves. And it's literally working the most inefficient way possible. So if your agency keeps saying, I don't have time, and I'm going to unpack this one more time. Cross-selling is probably the greatest example of this. I think two things hold account managers back from cross-selling. One, it's the S word of sales, thinking that's not them, that's uncomfortable. I just want to do what the person asks and move on. And really having some deep, consistent, routine, repetitive conversations to unpack that is a huge key to success because so much of it is a mental capacity. I always say to people, it hurts my heart when a client of my client buys that policy somewhere else because they didn't know we did it. And that's on us. So there's a component of cross-selling of fear, uncertainty, doubt, not identifying as a sales professional. Then there's the idea, well, I've already got 700 other things to do. If I quote it, if I ask, they're going to have questions. Then I'm going to have to quote it. Then I'm going to have to bind it. Then I'm going to have to service it. It's easier for me to go on to the next thing and save the, $8 in commission or whatever it is that people have. We always say, hold up. You have to unpack that and slow that down. If you believe you have 100% closing ratio, that's amazing. A lot of times we're just going to plant a bunch of seeds and they're going to call us back. And when someone calls us and asks for a quote, we definitely rise to that occasion. So that is like a perfect example of I'm too busy, but they're not going to say I'm too busy. Their actions are going to show you that they're too busy to cross up. This whole thing in insurance has gotten really, really terrible, to be honest with you. And we have some so far off a brand. Most of our clients want to be the boutique agency, but we're operating it again like a McDonald's. And the frontline staff is just trying to push people through the drive-thru as quick as they can, as opposed to stopping and saying, hey, let's have a great experience here with the client. And some of the things that hold us back are the, over servicing the crappy clients. I'm sorry, but every agency has to address this at some point. Who are the clients that we are not making money off of? Who do we need to move away from so that we do have time to spend it with the other ones? We do not need to be everything to everybody. And as an agency leader, that's something that you have to unpack and help your agency identify. So that's our false belief number 2, which is I don't have time. The answer is, if we're operating as chaos, we do not have time. However, if we can unpack this and get to a place where we can be intentional with our time and have an organizational strategy and run our agency like an ER with different plans, you do have time. But it's putting the good stuff into that time that sometimes we have a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt on. So it's a lot easier to stay in chaos. So that's my 2-minute, or probably longer on this one, 3-minute tip for the day. And we're going to confront another false belief tomorrow. Tomorrow's false belief, let me just look at my notes here. Customers don't want to be on the phone with us. So can't wait to talk about that one. We'll see you then.
So have you ever thought about doing secret shopper calls to your team? Why not? Now, I know people feel a little funny about this, but secret shopper calls are more meant to test your sales process to make sure that it's following the right sequence and that you have the right training for your team. We're one of the only companies that does secret shopper calls specific to the insurance space. You can actually purchase them on our online store. When you do this, you'll get a survey that we can actually benchmark against other agencies. You'll get a video from the secret shopper, as well as any supporting documentation. And we also do a review call with me. So if you're curious on what's going on with your new business leads, this might be an opportunity to understand, listen, and build a better plan. Check it out on agencyperformancepartners.com/shop. It's under the Agency Interactive section. And we hope to secret shop your agency soon.